fuck me like you really want to? Can you love me like you do your hustle? Can you feed me past the food and grubbing? Can you clean me like it's church on Sunday? In the tubbing, scrub a dubbing, clean the fountain, make a wish and throw 100. I might just blow it, your heat ain't warming, your mountain's swarming.
And I also think about the people who did something else with their careers and their adulthood and their lives, and just like the people who found different industries and different places to work. And I'm really like inspired by them.
Yeah.
You know, and like the nonprofit did teach me a lot, and I use everything I got and channel it, but at the same time, like I always think about what if I did something different?
Yeah.
So if the something different becomes an option, it's not a bad thing.
Right.
You know?
My only worry is that because I don't have like no degrees on my side, I don't have like school, like I'm like too poor to go to school right now. And honestly, like I think the reason why I put like a lot of eggs into this job is because it's something consistent and like something reliable and dependent on, like I'm dependent upon. And it's like if this don't work out, it ain't like no going to my mom's house, like I'm just like ass out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I mean that also like is a motivating factor. It's a motivating factor. I'm 30 years old now. The hustle don't never stop. The hustle don't stop. And you really have to let down your pride on that. I just quit working. I was working at Urban Word. I quit working in June. And there's like a story about how I became admin and blah, blah, blah. And I quit working in June. I do have a degree, but my degree's in acting. And one of the reasons I did the nonprofit thing was to have that credibility. But like, think about your skill sets are just way more profitable than your degrees. You know what I mean? Especially I think for your generation, and how you flip your skill set, that just matters so much. I mean, I know it's scary as shit, but like the hustle, you know how to be poor. You've done it before. So if anything goes wrong, go back to that and build up, just like you did this time. You know what I'm saying? And like, I do feel you. It is scary, like, to think about not having a degree or whatever, but I have a degree. I know hella niggas who have degrees, and jobs don't fall out the sky, and you end up going back to those hustles anyway. So trust that you know how to hustle. And I feel you. I ain't got nowhere to go back. I gotta hustle to keep my head afloat. You know what I mean? But it's possible. It might be painful, but possible. And because of your life experience, and again, the skill sets you have, those are flippable. You just have to find the right place and time. And sometimes you're not gonna find it if this is taking up all that energy. You know, like I think about how my skills are applicable to different types of jobs that I've seen, and I'm like, oh, I actually can get paid more doing less over here if I just was brave enough to not fuck with these niggas. You know?
Oh my God.
So just know that it's out there and trust it. Like, just trust it. It is scary. But at the end of the day, you're not gonna flop. If you don't let yourself. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. Just heed the advice. Know now. Just be like, okay, don't trust these niggas as far as you can throw them. Protect your tail. Like, I asked my girlfriend tonight, I was like, she was sad about acting. She had an audition today, and she went well, but she didn't hear from it. And I was like, well, what would you do besides acting? She was like, I don't know. And she was like, this is too much. And it's a question I want to return to, because like, what are your next plans? You know, and just always trusting your hustles and having them on deck. You know, there's somebody else that's gonna take those hustles.
No, I never thought about it.
Well, that's
but that's real facts. Like, even with like being like the first Equal laureate, I felt like for a while I was like chilling. It was like, okay, but then I seen like the next round, and then the next round, I'm like, these little niggas are coming, like, just like coming for me, but like not coming for me per se, but like they're just doing the shit so unapologetically. And as much as I want to be like, oh, this is a hat tipping to like those that came before us and them, but it's like they're like getting ahead, you know what I'm saying? And so,
with a grain of salt, but I get you.
I don't know, you're so inspired. You're talking.
I'm just saying, like, I mean, I feel you. Like, literally, I could be looking at you, and I know that it sucks. But I just hope I really can try to assure you that, like, it's always something. And, like, especially with this field, because I've been in the spoken word nonprofit, I've seen it through the years. Honestly, it only matters the most right now only to Chicago.
Really?
Oh, hell yeah.
Why? What's it?
This is the only city that is continuously taken writing seriously. Like, a lot of cities have dropped off from taking it so serious, you know what I mean? Which is fair, which serves Chicago in the sense of there's been an ecosystem created around it to support it.
Right.
And that's cute, that's great, it's really dope. But, like, yeah, what if you moved, you know? Like, Kush just went to New Orleans. I haven't checked on her since, but, like, actually, I did talk to her recently. But, like, what happens when you move? Guess what? It's a new popular thing in that ecosystem. So your measures of, like, this person's getting ahead of me, don't nobody know outside of these city walls. So what if your ambitions are larger in the first place? You know? And I appreciate everybody that's for Chicago, but, like, the world is bigger. So, like, there's just some, go to Atlanta. Atlanta's popping.
Oh my God.
Atlanta's hella popping. Like, go somewhere else that you can, like, create your own measures of success. If these ones feel too rigid and they feel too isolating or they feel too fixed, like, they shouldn't make you feel that bad. There's other places to thrive. And there's other measures to thrive. And there's other people to impress. How about you challenge yourself by impressing somebody else? You know what I mean? You done seen these niggas all your life. You know? You shouldn't have to, like, prove yourself that much to your cousins.
Oh my God. Oh my God. You are just speaking so much fact. Oh my God.
That's what, like, I think about Toaster's journey even. Like, I was kind of mentoring him in his transition, just on some, like, big sis talking shit, but just was like, go.
Yeah.
If you curious, go. And he went, he dominated, he learned things, and he decided to come back, and cool, but at least he lived to tell the story.
Where'd he go?
He went to the Bay Area.
Oh, word.
Yeah, he was in the Bay for a few years.
You just never knew. Wow.
Jump ship sometimes, you know what I mean? It's the same stuff, different city.
I think this is a good part. What's up, everybody? It's your girl Iman Loren like Polo Black Honey Buns, bitch, and I'm here with, like, oh my gosh, I don't even know. Okay, we got Shannon Matesky here. You know what I'm saying? You're originally from Berkeley, and then you moved to Brooklyn.
Actually, so I'm from Berkeley, California. I then moved to Chicago when I was 18. I went to college here, DePaul Theater School, and then I stayed here after graduation. Then I went back to the Bay to take a job, and now I live in Brooklyn.
Yes, and you are an actor, writer, producer, performer, director, and a beast.
I am.
I did my research. I was ready for you.
I am. Someone read that one time, like an OG, and was like, a beast? What does that mean? It was like, it means that I go for it.
Yes.
That shit?
I haven't heard that in so long.
Self-proclaimed beast. Yeah, and also, like, it's also kind of an homage to where I'm from. Bay Area girls aren't gentle. Kehlani says it in her song where she's like, Bay girls so damn hood, but they so damn pretty. Like, we're pretty, but we're wild, you know? We loud at the sideshows, and we loud all the time, and it's just not prim and proper and perfect. So, like, I like that I could be a beast for real about what I do and what I believe. One of my friends challenged me too. They was like, you could be a beauty and a beast. And I was like, oh, I like that. For real. How can I just kill the game and, like, do my thing, you know? So yeah, I own that.
You really do. Do you think that it's always like LA girls, Los Angeles is different than the Bay.
Yes, but 6 hours apart.
Oh, word.
Yeah, so they're very different. They are prettier and more dainty I mean, but you also got the hood girls, and they, you know, hood girls are hood girls everywhere. Yeah. You know what I mean? But they have a little nicer weather, so I feel like they just get to kind of relish in that, and like we get like a little wind from the ocean, and you know we get a little cold night from the bay. So you definitely got to prepare your spirit for it and be ready. You know.
Well, I just want to say like thank you so much for being here.
Yes, I'm excited for your podcast.
Thank you. So lit. I don't think you really understand how this makes me, like, my heart is like beating. Like, I went to the bar and was like, do your fucking research. More than you already know.
That's dope.
But my first time ever seeing you, like, ever seeing you was at Brave New Voices. I think it was Chicago.
Word.
Or it might have been
2012.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like you did a one-woman show. And I think it was She Thinks She Grown.
Yep.
And it was just one of the most impactful, like, you were just like such like a big, vibrant butterfly that was just so amazing. And so like you inspired me, then I did my one-woman show. Yeah, so it was just like, you were just like so like amazing to me. So like,
thank you.
What is it like just being like a multifaceted artist? Like,
you know, I feel like I was talking to someone else about this. I feel like it just got normalized to be multifaceted and multi-hyphenated, right? But like, I feel like I've learned my way by looking to mentors and looking at different people around. And one of my mentors, one of his email signature was kind of hyphenated. It was like artist, activist, educator. And you have to kind of learn from what already exists for you to know what to do. So I was like, I could do that. Well, how would I identify, you know? So I say I'm an actress, writer, producer, director, beast. And then I try to live up to those things. I also have been in career times where they've been like, pick one. And I'm like, that's more for me than for you. So if you want me to say I'm an actress right now, I'm an actress, you know? But in reality, I do feel like I am multi-hyphenated because I do kind of, you know, make sure I do all those jobs. I make sure I do that type of work. And if I don't do that type of work, then I don't feel like I can own that title. But yeah, I definitely want the respect that I'm deserved to by like doing that work and by invested in that work. So I'm really proud of it. But I've definitely been in situations where they're like, pick one.
How do you deal with like the balance of like giving all of their titles, like the energy that like and the time and the practice that they're deserving of? Especially like also when it's like the world sees you as like mainly one. And like how do you be like, oh no bitch, I do this too, without being like, I don't know. Honestly,
I've gotten to the point where I've had to really kind of let it go. Again, if people want you to pick one, it's more for them. And sometimes it's for them in marketing, you know, and they just need it simple. This one in New York, this person who writes, they were bragging about me or like talking about me, and they like mislabeled me twice. They called me a comedian one time, and they called me something else a different time. And I was like, And I throw a show right now in Brooklyn called Queer Abstract. And for the past 2 years we've been alive, I say I'm the creator and host. So I gave titles to call me, and I still got called something else. And I just had to let that go because like my hosting style is funny.
It's very
so if you think I'm a comedian, then okay.
That's another one.
You know, right. I haven't done all the work a comedian has, so those are my issues with the title.
The respect policy though.
Right. I want to pay respects to people who actually do that work.
Super fucking valid.
Right. But if that made them comfortable, then like, okay, maybe it's in one editorial, one small thing. Like, why throw a fuss about it, you know? So that I try to let go of. I do try to let go of. But at the same time, like, I just fit what's appropriate for the moment, you know? And then sometimes, like, the truth is necessary or the truth is important. Like, sometimes I'm in directing situations and I'm like, well, I am a director and also an actor, so I think about it like this. Or lately I've been catching myself saying, well, like, my writer side is thinking about this when we're talking about, and my, like, director side is thinking like this. And then to also answer your question about, like, time, that one's hard.
Yeah.
You know? Because I think part of your question, too, is, like, how is it managing those titles when other people's expectations are like, you know,
one directed.
Right, one directed. And that one's tough because I have to again kind of create my own measure. Like, I call myself a writer, for instance, right? I don't necessarily like being called a poet because I'm not as studied as the poets are.
Okay.
I'm not fully invested in the poetry world, and I'm not fully invested in only writing poetry, right? You spoke about my one-woman show. I've written 4 one-woman shows now.
Yes, you did. The Saga of the Return, Heartbreak Hotel in Whitney.
Yes, Heartbreak Hotel Whitney, and then I also have one called If I Eat, Then You Eat, and 3 out of 4 of those are full of poems. They're like 18 to 35 poems, but they're not like one-off slam pieces. It's like this body of poems creates a play. So, I don't call myself necessarily a poet, but I am poetic, and I do poetry, you know? But again, that's like my measure against people's standards. So I call myself a writer, and I measure my own writing by what I want my career in that writing to be. Now, it is hard when I see other writing friends, and I'm like, dang, they put out a book, or they just got published in a whoop wop the bam. And then I gotta ask myself and be like, but that's not you though. Like, you're not at home doing submissions all day. Because, to answer your question, what are you doing with your time? Well, I'm doing yoga, or I'm about to travel, or I'm like reading a book, or I'm reading a play, because the other parts of me need to be fed, right? I'm not feeding one identity. I'm feeding those other identities. So if I'm feeding my acting self, that's also literally feeding. I need to meal prep, girl. I need to wake up early. I need to do some yoga, you know, to go to therapy, you know what I mean? All those things are included. So I do my best to manage that way, being like, what do I need to function as a full-bodied artist? And then in the sense of time too, the kind of easiest way to answer that question is I try to plot out my year by projects. So I say, if I'm gonna say I'm all these hyphens, how am I achieving them throughout the year?
Right.
So maybe I am writing a play throughout the year, or maybe my commitment to writing is writing a few poems, or maybe it's writing journals, or maybe it's writing Dear God letters, right? And then my commitment to acting is like auditioning and trying to book. My commitment to directing, I want to direct something in the fall. And especially acting helped me on that, because acting is in seasons. So you could be like, I know I'm doing a play in the fall. What am I doing in the winter? What am I doing in the spring? And sometimes I'll be like, well, I'm going to do a play in the fall that I'm an actress in. I'm going to do a play in the winter that I'm a director in. Maybe I'll create a one-off show in the summer, and then I'll write something by the end of the year. Then I done did all my checklists, and I still am a boss.
Oh my God. First of all, you're just saying everything to me, because one time in cohort, we got asked, like, who would you like to be your mentor? And I wanted to save this question to the end of this episode. But will you please be my mentor?
Totally.
Really?
I mean, I'm down for like whatever that means, you know?
Like, I mean, we can figure that out. I haven't had a mentor since I was probably like, 16? But I was like, Shannon Matesky, because she just does everything that I do, and like I do everything that she does, and like she's just like so strong and so powerful and stuff. So, but when you talk about like your schedule, well, first of all, you said 2 things that was interesting to me, because I also act. Acting and
plays are seasonal, right? So that was again one way I would think about my acting career. But then, like, you audition all the time, you are trying to get into TV and film at all times, but if you book a play, you know that you're booked for that play from January to March. So that's kind of what I meant by seasons. And then, you know, as an actor, I feel like we always get asked, like, what kind of actor are you? I am the actor that will receive the check and do the work, you know? So in that sense,
that's going to act.
Exactly, and whatever you have for me. So in that sense, it does kind of break up the schedule, because you never know. So sometimes it's year to year. Sometimes it's super planned out. Sometimes it's not. You know, but to try to make space for everything is my kind of overall goal. you know.
But when you talk about like the things that like what I like, you just sound, and forgive me for sounding presumptuous, but you sound so healthy. You know what I'm saying? Like you sound like you're like doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like not just like doing it in a sense of like making it, but it's like when I talked about the thing, like when you talked about the things that feeling you went to like yoga and like other stuff that was like that me, if I got that answer, I'd make it very career artistic based. Like, I write a poem when I see the inspiration, or I
mean, which is also taking care of yourself, right? If you're telling the truth in that poem and whatever.
It is.
But I mean, a lot of it is acquired discipline. So I went to theater school, and in theater school, it is rigorous, at least the theater school I went to. And in that, they teach you that physical conditioning is necessary. And one commitment I made while I was going into debt to go to school, because I grew up poor, and that was the decision that commitment made me do. I said, well, if I'm going to go into debt for this, I want to be an actor for the rest of my life. Well, my degree allows that, but also my own commitment to the craft and to the discipline.
Right.
And that's easier said than done, because it's not like life happens. It's not like you could do yoga all the time. I wish I was like super disciplined, but the other things happen, and I love sleep, and maybe I party too hard, you know. But in the commitment to what I know I want to be in the life and the longevity that I want to have to take care of myself. You brought up She Thinks She Grown. She Thinks She Grown, its writing is very personal. It's the story of me going from 17 to about 19, getting ready to go to college and into college, and learning what it means to grow up without getting ahead of myself. And I wrote that play. And then as I was getting prepared to perform it, those are two different minds, right?
Yes.
Writing on the page and then getting ready to embody it.
Page to stage.
Right? So one of my processes was to I really had to boot camp myself as an actor. And I ran on the treadmill as I was reading the play, because I knew I needed that conditioning, right? And for the past few years, I mentioned some of my moves. I've been in nonprofit full time for the past 2 years, and still, because I might not have been fully committed or had the schedule to do all my acting stuff, but I can't let my body go, and I can't let my my keenness of mind go, or my analyzation of text go. So I constantly have to work out. And workout looks a lot of different ways.
Right.
And I mentioned therapy. Girl, I've been in therapy a long time.
I'm so jealous.
Okay? I've been in therapy a long time.
I'm so jealous.
I had a lot of young, childhood trauma to work out. She Thinks She Grown was such a beautiful kind of exploration again in that journey in that time, but that play deals with childhood trauma erupting once I thought I was grown, you know? And I had to be healthy in order to do that play.
Oh my God, I'm thinking about it in such a totally different way, because I was fucked up when I seen that play. I was just crying for years. I was like, wow, she gets us.
And a lot of people were like, how do you do that? And I'm like, well, because I gotta work out and prepare my mind and body to just act it, not live in that trauma. And that takes homework, right? And sometimes homework looks like that hour session pouring your heart out, or sometimes that homework, it means a lot of different things. And that healing has taken time. It's taken time. One of my mentors said about me, this was years ago, I don't even think I was 19 yet, but they knew me since I was 14, and they were like, you used to be so angry. What happened? And I was like, well, I grew up, and I feel that way now too. I'm like, I've been growing up, you talk about seeing me and She Thinks She Grown. Since then, girl, it's been a lot of growing up. It's been a lot.
I just remember seeing when I hear you talk about the conditioning of that piece, I just remember you just working your body and just working yourself, and just feeling that and to me it's it's actors like you who set that spectrum apart, where it's acting and a real person, because to act as like your past self, that takes fucking work. It's real easy to act like somebody else. Right. It's real easy to act like a part of yourself that you want to be. It's real easy to like act like a part of yourself that you like don't want to be, but to like act in a part of yourself that like was slash partially is yourself. That takes fucking work.
I mean, a lot of it just takes discipline. And I mean, again, I'm blessed that I got introduced to that in school. Again, I went to debt, so thank God, you know, they taught a girl something, and they taught me to like hold on to that value. I wrote the play The Saga of the Return when I returned home to Berkeley. And there's a few poems in there about me running into old people who I knew, people I went to high school with, people who I grew up around. And let me tell you, girl, because you young buck 20, you know, girl, you gonna run into some people and they gonna let themselves go.
What you mean? Like
health wise.
Oh.
And I'm not just talking body, I'm talking mind and spirit.
I already know. I done seen that shit now.
Right. But it's only gonna get worse.
Drugs don't help it either.
Drugs and alcohol and habits don't help it. And even during that time, that time was really hard for me returning home, and a lot of things happened, and it is a place of trauma for me. So I even got into a drinking habit, and then I moved to New York, and you get into the party scene, and you don't have to stop if you don't want to stop. Do you know how much discipline it takes for me in New York to be like, I'm going to minimalize my going out and minimalize and manage my drinking and go to the gym?
That takes a lot.
Yeah, you're not gonna be the cool girl at the club because you're gonna be tired and need to wake up so you can eat. Like, it takes discipline. But I am so clear about, like, you know, what's gonna destroy me most, not if I'm the cool girl out in the clubs, but if I don't take the biggest shot and biggest chance at achieving my dreams. And that means I have to live differently than everybody else. I am not them. They are not me. They do not have the blessings and the gifts that you have. And again, I put myself through debt. I done been through every major weather that this country has to offer. I'm not giving up easy, you know? So if it means that I have to double down on my discipline, I gotta try. And it's not, I'm in Chicago right now, visiting for the month of February.
Yes.
To audition for pilot season.
Ooh, you probably can't tell me.
Just all pilots,
yeah.
But everybody's like, why would you come now? Why would you come now?
It's the best time.
And I'm like, I was told to come, and what shot do I have to lose? And you're gonna miss 100% of the shots you don't take. If anybody's ever been to Chicago in February, they know it is awful right now. But that's
you are the realest Hoodwife.
You know what I'm saying?
Fuck with me,
bruh. I'm out here in February, sweatpants, hoodies, beanie
so
on.
Cute though. I was
just
like, oh, she's so thick.
Gotta do what I gotta do, okay? Like, because like something might hit, and that might change my life. And I gotta like take that jump and take that shot for me.
I love it.
You know? And it means I gotta be uncomfortable. And even that takes growth. You talk about LA girls, they don't like to be uncomfortable. I'm out here uncomfortable.
You know? Like, I was thinking like LA girls, it's like, oh, like every time, I've never been to California, but whenever I hear about like LA people, it's just like everybody's just cool. Even like when I think about Kush, I be like, damn, this bitch is from California. Yeah. Like, it makes so much sense. I'm like, she's super cool. And I'm like, I know you're an introvert, but bitch, you like too cool.
LA, they're like super cool because again, the sun, right? So even when you think about the sun, you're like, ooh, okay, let's slow down. So I'm from the Bay, so we a little bit more hustle, but I've also always been faster than home. And that's why I can't stay there too long. I went back to take this job, and in a year, I was like, okay, I'm done. I gotta get out. I'm faster. At least I'm faster right now, which is why I moved to New York.
Right.
Because I was like, speaking of discipline and journey and path, I was like, while I'm young and while I can, it takes a lot to be in New York. You gotta go upstairs all the time, the trains, like on top of the weather. Like, it is a lot of endurance. You know, you always around people. That's like an energies. Like, it's a lot of distraction. You know what I mean? It takes a lot of mental stamina and physical stamina to be in that city. So I was like, let me do it now before I slow down and go live a Cali life again. Yeah. You know, or move somewhere else. But I have it now to give, so I'm gonna give it. You know, and it's a part of the journey. And then when I go back and I'm gonna be that young, or you know, young old Cali OG, and I'll get to enjoy the sunshine. But right now, it's grind time. I can't be sitting under the sun if my dreams is not getting chased.
Can't let too much grass under your feet.
You know what I'm saying?
I feel
I got
you.
things to do today.
I feel you. I completely fucking feel you. What are like some of the things like that you do for like self-care?
You know, I am, so discipline-wise, okay, so a little bit of background on just my current life. I transitioned from my job in the Bay Area. Mm-hmm. It was a nonprofit job to a nonprofit job in New York. Mm-hmm. And I started a show called Queer Abstract that goes once a month in New York. And I pretty much was running from the show to work, and you know, nonprofit, sometimes the hours be longer than you expect and the nights be longer. But the thing I would do for self-care would be go to the gym and go dancing. Yeah, those are my things. I gotta go get free and go to the gym. So either way, endorphins is being burned.
Yes.
But I was still trying to curb drinking habits and like social anxieties. And I also was really stressed out at work. It was not healthy for me. It got to the point where like it started changing my attitude, and I wasn't like super warm. And I also was like having trouble in my relationship. So that coupled with stress at work just made me stressed.
Yes.
And I was like, I need to change this. So I quit my job because I can't be an actress if I'm stressed out. 90% of our job is relaxation, okay? So I knew that I couldn't do that. And also like I needed to rededicate to my dream, right? And I was not doing my dream. I was doing something that got me a check, but it kept me comfortable in a different lifestyle. And that lifestyle was not disciplined, right? That lifestyle was like, go to work. I did have the gym in there, but I also was drinking my calories when I went to the party. So it was not disciplined enough. So I quit that job, and now I'm rededicating to my discipline. So now it is about going to, making sure I go to the gym regularly, making sure I meal plan. One of the things I do for self-care, I ritualistically clean. I make sure my space is clean, that my aura is clean, that I'm organized, because it helps remove the clutter from my brain, right? So I spend a lot of time at home. When the New York thing is like, come outside. No, because if this mind isn't right, I'm not going to be right. So I do that. I'm learning tarot right now. So tarot is a self-care discipline. I have a friend that we exchange cards every single morning. So I'm learning tarot. I'm also rededicating to the practice of reading more books. I have a library that I've carried through every city that I've lived in.
I feel you.
So now I'm trying to read that library, you know. Something I'm studying right now is magic, because while I am changing my career, my life, and trying to get dream focused, I want my manifestations to be stronger. So I'm really trying to practice, like work on all those practices and all that, you know, learn my botanica knowledge and really get my game up there.
Botanica knowledge?
Botanica, herbs, girl.
Oh.
Herbs, flowers, and what to do with them, okay? Herbs, flowers, oils, and how to mix them. That's all magic is, right?
Yeah.
So really learning those things. Taking time for myself, being kind to myself, know when to take a break. The hardest part of self-care is sitting down and taking a break. I'm really good at busying myself with something.
God. I feel like you are just talking to my soul. For once, I feel seen. I feel like completely understood. But before I forget, because I found so many segues, but okay, so this is
I can talk, girl.
this is a segment called "What's Your Thought Juice?" What's your thought juice?
Okay, you gotta break down thought juice for me though.
Thought juice is like I feel okay. So like this would be your thought juice, but like, what was your first response that you told me?
Because at first I was like, she asked me like, like, what my swag is? That's how I felt. He was like, what's your thought juice? I'm like, well, you mean what works in these Chris needs?
Yes. You know? Like, what gets you in, like, your, like, you know, like, what drink?
Okay, what drink? Definitely whiskey.
Okay.
And I had this partner that like really put me on to just drinking straight whiskey. So like drinking straight whiskey is like usually a good one. Or my real thought juice. Man, I'm about to tell my secrets. It just
Why
came to
you
me.
tell me?
I haven't been drinking it because I'm like trying to do better.
Oh, the discipline.
The discipline, but girl, something get you turned, girl. I called it an Appaloosh. I know. Okay, y'all ready? I'm about to school everybody. Yeah, you know, Appaloosh. Appaloosh is basic. It is apple juice and whiskey. But if you ever put apple juice or whiskey, apple juice is a great chaser.
Yes,
you can't taste it, girl.
Of course.
You get a Minute Maid bottle of apple juice, right? You gonna drink it down to the first line. Fill that first line with whiskey. Okay, 2 bottles down, you're twisted. Yes. You're twisted.
What you call it, Appaloosh?
I call it Appaloosh. Appaloosh. Appaloosh should get you loose. Okay. I'm telling you. So my 2 years in California, when I was like, I'm in that trauma, I'm like at this new job. It was stressful, girl. I was Appalooshing every weekend. It was a mess. Appaloosh, you can take it everywhere. They just think you got a Minute Maid.
Absolutely.
You know? I know. Or you get one of them classic apple juices, the one that look like an apple. I forget what they call, but them is
in the glass.
Yeah,
they're the fancy one.
I'm telling you, girl, treat yourself. But girl, so Appaloosh, just whiskey, a good whiskey for sure. Appaloosh if you're nasty. Ginger whiskey, you know. But I try to be a whiskey girl. I try now too. I can't stomach the other stuff.
I'm trying to think what your response was when I first asked you.
Well, I'll tell you what it was because I was like, she said my secret
so
sauce.
happy. I was like,
my thought juice. I said, well, my thought juice is my forwardness.
I started dying laughing. I was like, my forwardness. That's what gets them. Because I'll just straight up and be like, what's up? How I understood
I like you.
Super valid. Yeah, I'm like, hi.
Yeah.
So, what's good?
Yeah.
Like, period. Oh my god.
So when I heard thought juice, I was like,
that shit was funny as hell.
What makes me a thought? What's the thoughtiest thing?
I literally showed someone. I was like, hey, this is what she thinks thought juice is.
Yeah, I was like,
she thinks it's a character trait, bro.
Yeah, I was like, the character trait is like, you know. I was like, well, it's my forwardness because I will tell you what's up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you, so like you talk about discipline. What's like the difference between like discipline and scheduling? Mm-hmm. And like, because my thing is like, I be feeling like I'm disciplined as far as like checking in with the calendar and like, knowing I'm working this day and this day and this day and like.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I went through phases, but right now I am not good at scheduling.
Really? So it is a difference between discipline and scheduling?
I think so. Okay. Right now, my priorities are shifting, and my priorities are the self-care things. And those I don't schedule, I just make them a priority. Everything else I schedule. So like, I wake up and, for instance, the last nonprofit I worked at, it was agreed upon that I showed up at 11. Because I have a very ritualistic morning. They don't know that. They just like, oh, she wants to be late, she late. But like for me, it's because I want to wake up and not be rushed. Although I should wake up earlier.
No, sure. I completely feel that.
Right, I should wake up earlier, but I don't. Because I'm also a Taurus and I love sleep.
You're a Taurus?
Yes.
What's your moon and rising? I'm a Scorpio sun, Scorpio moon, Aries rising.
Okay, I always mix up moon and rising, but I know I'm a Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, or Scorpio, Leo. I know, girl. It's a whole lot of
that is beautiful
stuff up in there, girl.
Ooh, but it makes so much. I feel like you might be a moon, or you damn near might be a Scorpio moon and a.
I think it might.
Rising.
I don't know. Honestly, I always forget.
It's super fitting though.
It does fit because I'm like, oh yeah, I got a little piece of all of those. You're right. But yeah, so I prioritize those. You know, and not only discipline, I think about them as habits. Like, how can I, include these as habits? And not everyone gets in. Like, sometimes if I don't do any type of workout thing, or I'll at least try to stretch in the morning because I'm getting old. So I'll try to stretch a little bit. But if I don't do any workout thing in the morning, which lately these days hasn't been happening, I'll make sure I do it in the evening. But I still prioritize, I try my best to prioritize these things in my day. Life happens. You know, I might be planning to go to the gym and then the homie wants to hang out, and next thing you know, I'm carrying a duffel bag to the kickback, you know. But like, at least I made my intention.
You are that shorty.
Oh, I'm definitely.
You're definitely that shorty too.
Here I am looking like a bum. Like, this wasn't the plan, you know. Okay. But it'd be like that, you know, because again, my priorities. Some people prioritize the kickback. So you know what they did 2 hours before? They was at the house getting ready.
Getting ready. I was dancing.
Time like that. Nope, that wasn't me. Okay, that was not me. I was on my way to Planet Fitness or wherever.
I'm like, hey, bro, just be ready sitting by the couch for me.
Exactly. Like, it's, you know. So yeah, like, scheduling is hard for me lately, for sure. Because also I had to admit that, like, I've moved a bunch of cities. I've changed my job. I'm actually kind of going as far as my self-care. I'm trying to detox, because there was a point where I was super automatic, super on top of it, and I was paid to do so that made it easy, right? So I was like, okay, I'm at work doing the things. But then I just wanted to let all that go, because you know what that was, to maintain all that? Stressful, you know? So now I'm like, I want a different lifestyle. I want one where, like, I don't have to worry about being responsible as much. And now, kind of back to kind of one of your original things is that pressure from outside. So I got all these hyphens, there's all these legends, and people can say whatever they want to say about me, whatever, you know, but they also come in with their expectations, you know. But right now, I am living a very simpler version of my life by choice. And I really have to confront my pride. I'm not making the money that I used to right now. I'm not, I don't have as much power as I used to in the sense of job or positionality right now. And that's okay for me, because I'm gearing up for the next phase in my life that I know I need, right? But I had to settle with my pride and kind of face my pride and say, well, you can have power and money, you know, and a little bit of respect, which you need a lot, you know, but it will look like this and require this. Or you can have less and do less.
What's that line of, like, pride and intuition, though? Because my thing is, like, oh, yeah, I'm super prideful. It's like, yeah, I pay my own bills. Been doing this shit for X amount of years. Like, and I guess that's, like, pride, but that's also, like, part of, like, my resume that I carry with me. When, like, interacting with people is, like, yeah, like, you can't check me on shit outside of giving me a check. Like, and that's just, like, how, like, I operate, but also with, like, my intuition just be like, bitch, you know you want to be on Broadway. You know you want to do this. You know you want to do that. But it's like, you got this job, and this job is, like, providing those checks. So it's like, what is that line of, like, being prideful and saying, like, hey, this isn't working out for the gold in me that I see for me, and, like, listening to your intuition and being like, granted, you see this gold in you, but maybe can't you use some of this money to save up for your gold in you? And this,
so I'll cut the difference, because yes. So I took a job. When I left Chicago in 2014, and my career was good in Chicago. I actually left too early. I had a year lull, and in acting you're gonna have lulls, and I was told by my mentor, like, a lull is like a down on the roller coaster. One of my mentors was like, acting is like roller coaster, you're gonna go up and you're gonna go down. So I had a down, and I was in that down, and that down lasted about a year, and I was mad, and I had just come off winning a grant. I wrote She Thinks She Grown. I went on a 7-city tour. I did the most, and then I was like, I got pennies now, I got nothing in the sense of opportunity. So I took that as a sign from the universe. I said, well, maybe I need to move now. So I was preparing to move to New York City, and then I got this job offer to move to Oakland, and I was debating. And the partner I had at the time was like, don't take the job. The job is not your dream. And I had another friend that said, don't take the job. The job is not your dream. But here I was, broke on an artist's life, and I was like the breadwinner of my household on an artist's paycheck and hustling and tired. And I was like, you know what? It's not my dream, but like healthcare sounds popping, and like I need to go to the dentist and you know. So I took that job. And not only did I take that job for the check, but I also took it because it was home. So I got to settle some of the heart things, the things that you can't pay for, right? Some of my residual hurt, this was an opportunity to go visit that and to deal with it. Now, it's so, actually, I'm just thinking about this, but right before I left, I had my tarot read by the homie. And he said, you have two paths you could take. One path is guaranteed fortune. One path, you are not going to reap what you sow, but you are going to learn a lot. And I took that path. Now, I don't know. I haven't thought about that in a while. I wonder what would have happened if I just ran to New York. Maybe I would be on Broadway with a hit show right now. But I know that my heart wouldn't have been in the right place for it. And I was carrying a lot of pain from leaving my family and being in Chicago for 8 years, you know, and I got siblings back there and had nephews being born. So I took that journey, and it was hard and it was rigorous, but I did have a salary, you know, so I got them teeth fixed and I helped my family out a little bit. And even my therapist was like, do you need to take that job? And I was like, no, but don't I need to save up some money and, you know, be smart about it? And she was like, yeah, and I guess if you're going to go do the family stuff, you might as well let them pay for it. I was like, you're right. But the first year, I ain't saved no money, girl. I was so unhappy. I was drinking my money away, partying my money away, and on a vacation every weekend. I saved very little of that money and spent most of it. So I stayed in that job about 1.5 years. But then that second year, I was like, let me get smarter and let me save some of this money. Let me also get all the healthcare things that I need to get done while I got this good insurance, you know? So I adulted really quickly and really well. For exactly what you're saying, of like, don't you need to carry that nest eggs? Well, I said, if I'm going to be away from my dream, just like the homie said, that's not your dream. If I'm going to be away from my dream, I better be stacking coins. I am very good at saving money, and I've been stacking my coins. When I realized I had wasted so much opportunity to save, but although I don't regret it, because that year was fun as hell. I needed it. I went on a lot of adult vacations with the homies. Like, I lived my life at that time. I think I was like 26, 27. Like, that was a cool, fun time.
That's
like,
great.
Yeah, I might not have saved, but whatever. Money well spent. I had a good time. And then I did save a little bit of that end money. I also accomplished these professional projects. I did a lot of family stuff. And now I'm in New York. And in New York, I got the blessing to transfer my job, so I had financial security.
Word.
It was a little bit different, but I transferred a similar... I downgraded power and positionality, but had a similar salary base for my first year. And then after my first year, my contract changed. But I went there with financial security. So that helped me settle in New York. And that second year, I saved as much as I could. Even though I'm in New York, city of my dreams, and like poppin' ass city, I could have been acting like I was a baller, but I didn't. I stacked my coins because I knew that wasn't my dream and it had an expiration on it. So I did that for about 1.5 years, and then I recently quit that job. Now I'm taking a financial risk. I'm back to hustle life. I'm back to everything I knew. Now, if I want to get another career job, I can. I have the qualifications and I have the resume, but that is not my dream. And also, like, you ain't, or at least I had to check myself. I said, you have not gotten this far by taking the easy route and the convenient route and the safe route. Taking a risk on your dreams is not easy. It's not convenient. You know, that comfortability don't save you. So here I was in that job being comfortable, but still having all the bad habits, right? I'm comfortable enough to go party. And then I go back to work. And then I'm comfortable enough to go party again, and I go back to work. And then I'm stressed out, so I'm planning a vacation and get away from work and the city. I'm still not auditioning. Nothing is keeping me happy enough to stay in the city. So I quit my job in the summer, and that freed up my summertime. There were some beautiful things that happened. I turned 30. I had a bucket list goal to go to Thailand. I'm a cheap bitch. I'm telling you, I got a lot of money in savings because mostly I don't like to spend it, and I gotta take care of myself. I don't have a safety net. My foster family is not helpful. I was adopted. They're not helpful. I'm on my own. Always have been. So I created my safety net, and I was like, I want to go to Thailand for my 30th birthday. I found a deal. Me and 4 of the homies went to Thailand.
Really?
So knock that off
That's
the bucket list.
my dream place to go.
I'm telling you, it ain't
You see how we're meant to be
it's
together?
lit. I can mentor you a lot of spots in the time of the land, okay?
That is my dream
For real.
place.
But then just did a lot of the things I wanted to do. I wanted to show up for family in ways that I hadn't done because I was at work. So I did a lot of 30th birthdays. I did my nephew's 2nd birthday. I went to Afropunk because I wanted to.
Yes.
I came back out to Chicago because I produce a show here every summer with the homies. And then a friend of mine asked me, we had brainstormed about another international trip. And I had this crazy life experience. I'm going to just spring this on you and you can fold this in your podcast, however. So I had this wild life experience, little sis, where it changed my life on top of everything else. But I got pregnant this year.
Really?
And that was right before I quit my job. And if I decided to keep that baby, I would have had to keep that job that I was unhappy in. So I utilized my right to choose. Y'all, please vote, okay?
Yes.
And I really saved my life. It's not that I don't want children. It's that I knew I wasn't capable of really transforming into the parent I needed to be right now. And I also knew that I wanted to be selfish.
Yes.
That I have more life to live and more things I wanted to do. And I didn't want to resent my child if I had this child. So another thing I did was travel for a long time internationally because I'm a hustle girl. I don't like being without money. So, I spent a little bit of that savings to do this bucket list thing because I was like, more so than the money. Okay, I'm going to make the money back out of my savings. What I'm worried about is making back the time. And right now I have the time. I'm not attached to anything. So let me take the time away to go do this trip. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to get disciplined. So back to kind of even that original thing about how do you schedule things? I schedule things in seasons. I knew that I needed a season to just debrief from that job. The past 2 years working in nonprofit, I needed to debrief and get back to me, which included concerts in the summer, which included beach days, which included a different schedule than 9 to 5, which means less money. But that's actually helpful for me because that's less liquid funds to fund my vices, versus my discipline. A fucking gym pass don't cost as much as a gym pass costs as much as a bottle.
Yeah.
Right? So you buying five gym passes a week? You know what I mean? So it changes. And then when I think about what it means to be not happy, we have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And that I really think got our country fucked up because everybody got a different idea of what happy looks like. But for me, what's important is what fulfills me, right? And I'm trying to live a fulfilled life. When the pregnancy happened, I was like, how can I be fulfilled? What do I need to be fulfilled, right? And it is chasing my dreams, and it is and I quit my job in June. I wasn't about to start chasing those dreams in July because I wanted to run amok all summer to be fulfilled at my age and where I'm at. And that's just the truth of checking in with me, So all those things have really acquired me the benefit, just kind of taking that moment and really being like, what works for you right now? And I know how to survive with less than what I had. It was a blessing to get paid, but I've been in worse. And it's actually not a bad life.
Survive with
less than what I had. With less than what I have.
Yeah.
And it's even if I'm given a decent amount, I've been worse. I know how to survive with less. So let me take this decent amount and be happy. So now, at least right now, the phase I'm in is like I don't have a lot, and I'm not gonna be satisfied with that forever, or fulfilled by that forever. You know, I like things, I like going places, and I like
expensive.
You know, exactly. I'm a tourist. I like luxuries. I want more vacations. You know, but in the meantime, I wanted time, space, capacity, and I wanted something else. And that doesn't necessarily require money. So then it doesn't necessarily require me to work so hard.
Yeah.
And you know, you just have to kind of measure them at different times. And understand you got different years for different things.
Oh my gosh. You just make everything make sense to me. Like, you literally make everything make sense to me. I also want to say thank you so much for sharing that, because I was also pregnant before, and I was literally, like, everything that you said is, like, everything that, like, whenever I tell that story, it's, like, literally, like, word to word translatable. It's like, I would have been so selfish. I had to be selfish, but it's, like, I would have been even more selfish to, like, to bring a life that was like not deserving of like what they, you know, that just didn't give them what they
did deserve.
They did deserve.
Yeah, because you know at that moment you felt selfish, you had selfish desires, and if you were to make the choice, that would have had to be such a selfless one, and you would have had to live a selfless life. And I had to answer for myself. I was like, oh, you ain't got it to give, girl.
You ain't got it to give.
I ain't got it this year.
Not this year.
Okay, because it will change your life in a year.
You feel me?
In 1 year. I said, 2018 ain't the year, girl. I'm not anti this, but I'm anti this right now. And what that did, honestly, kind of back to the discipline, that was so life-changing. And thank you for, like, you know, acknowledging my share, and thank you for sharing. And I acknowledge and I share it because I want to what's that word, kind of, you know, take away some of the stigma from it, for young people who might carry shame around it. Like, know that you made the right parenting choice. Like, you made the right choice for you and your family, and can't nobody, you and your family, and can't nobody tell you otherwise. And all those people who might be like pro-life, okay, to each his own, but don't think not a day goes by that I don't think about the choice that I made, right? Because you gotta live with that in your body, right? In your body. But it definitely motivated me. Yes. I said, okay, so I do want a child, and I am interested in being a parent, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's just my truth, and that's not everybody's truth, right? Some people utilize their right to choose because they don't want children, and, you know, then they learn from their actions, right? But anyways, I had to put my life in perspective and said, okay, I do, but maybe in a few years. So let's say in a few years, maybe about 3-4 years from now, I will consider it. Well, now, in 3-4 years, what can I do for me? What will I do? The time is ticking. And not to say when 3-4 years is up, I have to, like, I'm on anybody's timeline but my own. That might still extend 2 more years. I'm not ready. I said in 3-4 years, I'll check in. I'll see what's up. Yeah. But in those 3-4 years, I got shit to do. Yeah. So that's why I traveled again. That's why I was like, where do I want to be, have to be? What do I want to do? It was so like it's kind of like this is a bad analogy. It's going to be a painful one, but like, you know, given 6 months to live type thing.
It definitely is. You know? I definitely understand that shit, like, realistically, because I was like, at the end of the day, when I made the decision, I was like, bet. I ain't in debt to nobody but myself now. Yeah. So,
but it's like your body is telling you, hey, we could be ready at any time. And you're like, okay, cool. Thank you. That's a blessing. Thank you, universe. Thank you, all the gods and goddesses that allowed that to happen. I appreciate it, you know? But like, now that I have made this decision and I have my body back, how do I honor that soul in that time and this blessing? Because we live in a blessed time in order to make that choice, right? That's another thing. So like, I carry so much reverence to the ancestors before us who didn't have that option, who out here raising babies and had to stop their life and change their whole life and couldn't live their dreams. How many mamas and mamas, you know, got full of resentments because they had to do what they had to do at the time, right? And we out here blessed that we had the cash money on deck to go go do the thing and that we sitting here right now. So let me honor the time and let me do the work. But what does that work include? You know? And that's why for me, it included a more stressless life. It did. I was like, that's what I want for me. And ain't no knock to the people that's working nonstop and getting their check. They got different priorities.
Right.
Cool. You got different priorities. You really want to pay down your student debt? Cool. You really want to like make sure your mama get a house? Cool. You really want your cars and your nails and you want all those things? Great. You know what makes me happy? Making sure a bitch got some incense, some candles from the dollar store, that I got roof over my head, and some Trader Joe's food to eat, and we cool.
Yes.
That's not all I need.
Sex to the city.
You know what I'm saying? Make sure the Netflix don't get cut off, and we all right.
Yes.
Just less is more, and that's something I take from acting. That's what every acting class tells you. Less is more. Mm-hmm. So I had to ask myself, in terms of fulfillment, what makes me fulfilled? And like, I know that I don't like being poor, broke. So yeah. I gotta hustle and I gotta work. You gotta work. You also have to fund the dream. You talked before we started, going deep into the podcast, but like, you gotta work to like do the art. And that's true. You do have to fund your dream, right? But a lot of things make money. So again, you gotta kind of run up into your ego and be like, I could do something really high level that makes money, and that give me maybe some surplus money, whatever. Or I could do just the bare minimum to make the money I need to be fulfilled. And then I still got time in the day. And that's just in the phase that I'm at right now. And also, I have faith, and I'm doing the self-work and self-care work of how do I make my faith and my manifestations as strong as possible, because I am going to book my show and be on TV and get my student loans paid in one movie. Mm-hmm. That's what I've said for the past decade, and I'm not backing down off that manifestation.
It's happening.
Girl, I'm up here doing my botany, trying to make it stronger. I'm like, man, you ain't messing with me. Let me get it together, but it really takes a full awareness and work, and it takes you choosing you and your path.
Okay, I want to talk about something, and maybe this can kind of be my interview too. Mm-hmm. I want to be on your cabaret show.
Fly Honeys.
Yes. So I dance ballrooms, but I just love the whole culture of like burlesque and cabaret.
Yeah.
Just the best. Can you talk about that?
For sure. So the Fly Honey show is a burlesque inspired variety show that started about 10 years ago. So this will be the 10th year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's really wild.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I think we started about maybe 30 or 40 people doing the show, and now there's there's 300 at minimum over the course of 4 weekends, right? We used to do one show or one weekend of a show, and now we do 4.
I thought it was only 12 of y'all.
Well, there's 12 in the core, or something like 12 in the core cast, right? Okay. So those are dancers that are trained as dancers, and they do a bulk of the ensemble, a bulk of the work, right? And then there are the hosts, which there used to be one, Mary Williamson. Right now we are in a model where there's 3, right? And then there's a band, and that band has moved from 6 people to 12 people. Mm-hmm. And then we have the Fly Honeys, and the Fly Honeys are the ensemble that participates in a few of the dances throughout the evening, alongside that original core cast. But we are in a system now that the Fly Honeys are open to really women citywide, or people citywide, not even specifically women, but to people citywide. And we have a warm-up, and we have submissions, and we have kind of a workshop, so folks can see how it feels. And some of these folks are first-time performers, they're accountants, they're moms, they're lawyers, they're the word has just spread, right? At first it was like the core dancers and like the performer homies, and now it's like performer homies plus regular homies, and there's so many Fly Honeys. Word spreads so fast that we've acquired so many every year. So what we do now is we have 4 different weekends and the honeys rotate out. So you might only do one weekend being a honey, but you know, you still get 3 shows being a honey. We also have the Hive, which is for men and gender non-conforming individuals.
Word.
So we have about 50 honeys, 12 cast performers, and about 50 Hive members, and about a 12 to 20 person band plus the host every show. So you multiply that times 4 weekends, and we have a lot. And then we also have a rotation of guest artists. Guest artists are per weekend, and then we have one-offs, which one-offs are per show. So there's a lot of different kind of rotations. What's one of those songs that kind of goes in the rounds, like the performers or the different kind of tracks going rounds,
okay,
you know? So we end up getting the best of the best throughout the whole time. But really what moves me about the Fly Honey show is the fact that we're mission driven. I am one of the writers on the Fly Honey show, and every year the creator and director Aaron Kilmurray comes and we talk, and we're like, what is the mission and vision of this year? What is this year about? What are the issues that we need to talk about?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's about visibility, and sometimes it's about inclusivity, and sometimes it's like we need to be in your face, like our body is ours, you know?
Yes.
Like every year the campaign around body positivity and the conversation around it shifts. And we also respond to negative comments. We say, well, what was the shit people had to say about Fly Honey? And how do we address it? And how do we make sure that they know that they are heard and that we are listening and we're responding? So it really is this living, breathing, microcosm. And it's super dope.
That's a nice word. What's that?
Microcosm,
Can you
right?
teach me that word?
Microcosm is like, the way I kind of think about it is like small universe.
Okay,
so
like
it's
a small unit.
Yeah, it's its own small universe, but like it's forever rotating. It's its own Milky Way. Yeah, you know. So we are always learning. This year we are turning 10, which is crazy.
Yes.
Which is wild.
Which is why, like,
it's gonna be crazy. So we haven't started planning, but like while I'm here in Chicago, me and the core team are actually plotting to say, well, how do we turn 10? But this is the crazy thing. It's wild and so beautiful that you bring that up and that you're so excited about it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out, like, how do I, like...
I love it. You submit. I got you, girl. I got to make sure that you'll go to the top. But what's wild is, like, so many people are still catching it for the first time and learning about it. But again, that negative reinforcement, right? Every year we've done it, somebody has tried to drag us down.
Really?
Belittle us. I had a boss tell me once, he was like, I had to defend you while you were in Chicago just taking your clothes off. And I was like, wow. I just got deduced to just being somebody who takes their clothes off. Like, that's not what this is about.
Yeah.
You know? And hadn't seen the show and really hadn't had context. But, like, so many of the talents have been, like, criticized. Like, oh, you're just doing that naked thing. And you're, you know, so because of what it looks like maybe in marketing or whatever, folks are missing the point. But the folks who come and see it, they get the point. And some of the critiques even have been like, you're preaching to the choir. We've heard that already. But the reality is we need to hear it again and again. Last year, I believe I wrote into the piece, we repeat it so we relearn the mission. Like, so that was kind of what I'm saying. We directly respond to the haterade. Like, oh, you think we repeat too much? Well, here is why we repeat it. because we need to learn it. Because every year a predator is born. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Every year a predator turns 21 and now has access to this space, and hopefully he can get checked.
Yes.
His first time, when he just thinks it's a tits and ass show.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've kicked people out who are inappropriate. So it is a mission-driven show about body positivity that I am so supportive and so behind and so proud of. And again, like even you like learning and excited about it, it still needs exposure. We've talked about taking it on tour, because I live in New York. There's a home of burlesque. There's a whole genre of burlesque, but not one of those shows have a mission.
Yes.
It's all tits and ass, and it's throwback to vaudeville. And no tea, no shade to the burlesque community. There's an amazing history of people who do that work. So, you know, I'm up in the sex workers. I'm about that.
I feel
But this is not that. This is a variety show that is burlesque inspired, that is cabaret inspired, and it's about body positivity.
You kind of like answered my next question, because my next question was going to be like, do you think that there is like a whole whitewashing, body shaming lens that comes with like cabaret and burlesque? Because I feel like the ones like I'm not gonna lie, my first exposure to burlesque was literally the Burlesque musical with Christina Aguilera.
Real.
And actually that's probably a lie. So there's this movie called Imitation of Life, and Sarah Jane, she went to work in this like, and I was just like, oh, this is my dream job. But then when I seen burlesque, I was like, yes. But I feel like they want you to be very like, you know, no tattoos and certain body shape and etc. etc.
I feel like that's you know, to be fair, I feel like that's also specific to city, and it's like different, like literally different cities have different preferences. Okay. Different curators got different ideas. You know, if it's not working for you, go somewhere else. Like, have you heard of Jeezy's Juke Joint? Girl, you in Chicago, go to Jeezy's Juke Joint. If y'all here March 14th, I think, through the like 16th, she has an amazing show. Black burlesque performer, literally receiving the same messages you just spoke about. You need X type of body. You need X type of no tattoo, blah, 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 blah. Jeezy is phenomenal. Jeezy is like, I am who I am.
Jeezy?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, she's really brilliant. She's out of Chicago. And then there's also Brown Girls Burlesque. That's in New York. But to respond to exactly what you're talking about, of like the world seems very whitewashed and seems without folks. So, you know, Brown Girls Burlesque is a big one where they're like, no, we are in this field too. I know one of my friends did a burlesque training that was predominantly brown. So that's what I mean by city to city too. Those resources might not all be here, but they are somewhere else. Okay. So those preferences might be here because the constituency and the audience base might prefer something. But if you go to a different city, there's more audience, there's more preferences, there's more of a need to create diversity. Not to say that the predominant still won't be, you know, white supremacy, but at least you can kind of find your windows, because there's a really dope community of brown girl burlesque artists, and they are amazing.
I'm already knowing.
There's also something I can think about that's not quite burlesque. It's a little bit of burlesque and drag, but in New York there's this show called Switch and Play, which is like burlesque and drag king, queen, and a little strange sometimes, but it's a little bit of everything. So there's a world for what you're looking for, but it might not be where you're at.
You gotta come to my ballroom when I walk.
That'd be so much fun.
I was like super nervous about it because I feel like, well, first of all, my thing is I really want to do like drag, like, and I don't know if that's like okay for me to do as like a born cishet woman, but I'm like, I really identify as like a non-binary genderqueer woman. Real. And so like, but I walk like straight face, I walk sex bod, and I walk femme face. But I feel like it's like a lot of shade because it's like, oh, like,
well, that community is very more particular.
Okay.
You know, shade is part of that culture too.
Absolutely. So shade and reading.
Right. So you kind of have to be prepared for all of it. Of course. You know what I mean? Right. So yes, more particular. Not to say that you can't, but you gotta have a thick skin to kind of deal with the kids. You know? And I do think that every city is going to have their own preferences about like what you can and can't. And you want to make sure you're not appropriating, so get to know that community.
Yes.
Really immerse yourself to where you are proving yourself and honoring the ancestors of said community.
Yes.
You know? Like, that's why, like, with Fly Honey specifically, we have gotten a lot of shit from the burlesque community. And the burlesque community is also like, we don't fuck with you. And, like, we have to be like, okay, you don't have to. We respect you. We actually were built, and we are so appreciative of you. But if you don't fuck with us, okay, thank you for all you have done. And then we go separate ways. So, because again, we're not burlesque, so we don't need to stay there and fight for their approval, you know. But I think in a walking, in a Vogue, in a, you know, in a ball community, they got a different set of rules.
Right.
Yeah.
They do.
They do. That history is long and forever challenged.
Yeah. I was, so I've been watching Paris is Burning and just like getting that history of it. And my thing is like, I think what's so perplexed about it for me is like, it's weird checking my privilege as like, as a woman, because I'm usually used to like making other motherfuckers check their privilege. Like, I'm a woman of color, I'm a queer woman of color. Like, no, check your shit. But it's like, oh, like, I gotta like,
yeah.
And I don't have a problem with that, but it is like also like a learning experience. And my thing is like, when you are dealing with like, you know, with the queens, you know what I'm saying? They don't have time to like be checking motherfuckers. It's like, no, you just get sliced or cut out. Like, period.
That's true.
So I'm just like,
it's ruthless. It's ruthless, and they do expect you to do your homework, you know?
Yes.
And like, and I think that's so fair. They have been through the wire to earn their spot where they have. So, I mean, there's a few cis women in the Vogue scene and in the ball scene in New York. But yeah, you got to do your work. You have to do your work. Your homework got to be up and down. There's a white cis woman in the ball scene, and she kills, she murders, she's fierce. Okay, I don't remember her name off top. She is.
I'm like,
fierce.
This is definitely not Madonna.
No. She's like, she tall, straight hair, but she kills it. But she's earned her keep. She's like paid her respects. You know what I mean? So like, you just really got to be a part of the process. You do, and sometimes that includes the shade.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's with anything, even with poetry. It's like, if you don't know the legends, you can't come up. Who do you think you are, rookie?
I just needed someone to just put it in a way that I can understand.
Right.
Okay.
You know, you can't be like, oh, I'm a poet, but I don't know Audre Lorde. Like, okay, bruh. Okay, sit over there. Let me know when you write a book. Okay.
Oh, by the way,
very similarly.
Speaking of Audre Lorde, Dominique told me to tell you that she said hi.
Yeah.
And she wants to fight you. She told me to leave that part out.
Because I'm here.
No, she said that you might be her ass, but I was like, damn, but you boxed. And she was like, I don't know, she got that soul to her.
That's real.
She's like, she got that soul to her.
Why she wanna box me? What I do?
I don't think she really wants to. I told her, I was like, well, if y'all gonna box now, like,
I'm like, but what I did, probably just didn't tell her I was here. I snuck up on Sarah the other day, and that was hilarious.
Okay.
So just being like, yo, I've been low key while I've been in Chicago though. So
thank you for popping out for me.
Yeah, because I told you I was like, I want to be on this.
Yes, you
like,
did.
Well, you know, blah blah blah. Let me know when. Like a girl, I know you over there, and then I was like, no, I'm here though.
Yes, you are.
I'm like, actually,
I literally tried to finesse. I'm like, okay, she's fucking with me, but I'm like, I thought it was like, hey sis, I see what you got going on.
No, I'm dead ass here for a long time. Put it in the schedule, so.
Well, Shannon Matesky, I thank you for being a real hoodwife of Chicago, of the Bay, of Brooklyn, of Thailand.
Shy is my heart for sure.
What you got going on? Where can we find you? What's new with you?
Man, well, if you are in Chicago, I might throw a show at the end of this month. So just look on my Instagram, pay attention. I'm going to throw a show. I have the date, but I'm going to keep you guessing on the show. But February 26th, I'm going to throw a show at Reunion Shy before I leave. It is going to be a show co-hosted with Ashley Tribble, so check her out. She's here all the time.
Oh, I'm very familiar with Ashley Treble.
Yeah, she kills the game. That's wifey for life. Clink, clink, lockdown. And then in New York, right? In New York, I throw a show called Queer Abstract. It's a queer trans POC variety show. It's every third Friday. So it's this Friday, February 15th. It is every third Friday. We go until January 2020. We will turn 3 and shut down. So if you are in New York or if you are a queer artist visiting New York, let me know and I will put you on my stage. Other than that, like, good luck. Like, I don't know where you're going to find me. Hit me up to the gram or the Facebooks or just be a little sis. And you got me.
I thank you so much for being here. I really enjoyed this conversation. It was like hella time. I was finna cry, but I was like, oh, no, bitch. Not right now. Just keep it going. Just keep it going. But thank you all for listening to another episode of The Real Hoodwives of Chicago with your host, Iman Loren. You're listening to a real show with hot sauce stories.
You found your hobby, how about that? Running up. You just the runners up. Got cherries and blossoms and buttercups. No chocolate and pussy is honey nut. I'll climb you like trees, don't fall for the breeze. Just stay on your limbs so niggas will leave. They blow in the breeze.